The awareness about disability and the rights of people with disability is not up to the level of the expectation of the enjoyment in whole full range of human rights. Therefore, it became a kind of mission for me to try to find a social space appropriate to my vision and to my expectation. And I was following my study in the American University of Beirut as anesthesiologist, as physician, specialized in anesthesiology. When I got the news about my first son, it was in 1973, and then I moved out to establish a kind of service for them. First of all, I put my son in a nursery for people with disability, which was run by foreign experts from Germany. In 2 years' time, my son older, and I met Mr. Rafiq Hariri, the assistant prime minister, who was then a businessman and who wanted to run a school, to run an institute in the south of Lebanon for handicapped people. He sent me then to the Johns Hopkins University, where I gained plenty of qualification in running such kind of services from medical background and from parents' background. So I was able to gain a lot of experience. After returning back, I established an organization which is Friends of the Disabled Association, and we established then a series of services since 1986 till now. 7 or 8 locations we changed it, but we are now located in Mishref, which is a very nice and beautiful area. We were able to have a lot of support from a lot of parties. The most important thing that in this march, in this journey from 1973 till 2012, there were a lot of progresses in that regard, and we are able now to run a huge daycare center with full margin, full range of rehabilitation and special educational services, with a sharp tendency towards inclusive education and inclusive livelihood and inclusive housing and inclusive employment. These are our objectives in the future. The most serious challenges in this field, in the field of disability, is being in a third world country, living in a hectic economic condition, and a lousy kind of social policy and social services, with a lot of I can say inappropriate priorities in the sustainable social development, where the interests of the government or the governments in this region tend to deal directly with priorities in all kinds of social services, which is schooling, housing, schooling, and water and electricity and telephone and communication, and leaving behind a lot of priorities. First of all, the coverage of essential human rights issues according to the needs and demands of the citizens, and among the minorities who are deprived from their rights, among them people with disability. Lebanon, as you know, is a country of 17 or 18 sectors, multi-sectarian country, and where you can find a lot of minorities, bigger or smaller, but almost all of them are very rich social diversity, where each party is trying to gain its rights and its demands. Among these different people are people with disability who are claimed to be minority and who are claimed to be social diversity rather than sick or ill or philanthropic objects. They are really a group of people who do have a lot of demands, a lot of rights which should be responded to. And sometimes they label them by people with special needs, invalid people, picking on them, poor people, enabled people, or people who should be helped and who should be nurtured, who should be philanthropic supported, not to get their full rights as it is supposed to be, starting from the point that they are human beings. And it's big lie when they call them people with special needs, because their needs are not real needs. They are all these things which people need for their life. They are not special needs. They are vital needs, just like mobility, food, medicine, house, schooling, friendship, equality, full equality and free participation, equal opportunities. These are not special needs. These are vital things to live in. And if given the rights to talk, people with disability has not chosen their disability, and they have never decided that they are going to be disabled. And the most serious thing that they cannot be otherwise. No matter how much they are capable of, they cannot be there except being disabled. That means even if they want to change their status, they are not able to do that. People with disability are deprived from inability or from capacity building. They are deprived from being able. And people with disability are able-bodied people, given them the capacities, giving them the tools, the proper support, services, then they will be function as powerful as others. What we always hear from others, that these are mild or moderate or severe or profound disabled, that means they are enabled in several levels of inability. For us, as people who are living the disability, we tell these people who are claiming that people with disability are several levels, we tell them the problem is not with these people. These people are normal people, just like you. The thing which should be labeled are the support systems, support mild support system, moderate support system, severe support system, profound support system. Given these systems properly, then we will have normal people around us without any problems, because those people are there incapacitated, unable, because somebody is enabling them. They are there not because they are sick or they are invalid or they are poor or they are segregated against or discriminated. They are there, they are diversity, they have rights to be different, and not only right to be different, because they are not different by their will. Somebody put them in a different category. People with disability, right, they are different. This is right, but they cannot be otherwise. Other people, maybe this is Christian, become Muslim, he can. This guy is, I don't know if he's, and now he is believer, or this guy is bisexual and he became him homosexual. He can. People with disability cannot be. Only they can be people with disability. Therefore, their difference is not just like the different like others. No. The other different people, they can change to be alike. People with disability are striving to be alike, but they cannot be, because they are disabled and they are enabled to be able. This is very important. The legislation in most of the Arab countries, almost, in spite of all the progresses and all the liberalism, all the democracy, human rights, they are still living in miserable conditions. 95% of Lebanese, of children with disability are out of schools. 5 or 10% are in special education. 0.001 are included in schools or included in the labor market or in housing or independent living. These are dreams which is written in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability. 15 to 18 countries of Arab countries ratified the convention. Go and see how people with disability are living in these countries. Lebanon has not ratified yet, not because we are very bad, but because there are some political struggle among different parties in Lebanon who want to do it and who don't want to do it.
Are there, I was wondering if there are differences between gender. Are there more stigma for women or men? Or?
Women hold double disability. Being women is one thing, and being disabled is another thing. The most important thing which nobody tells about, women in the Eastern countries is the service provider at home. She is holding silently, faceless, wordless, voiceless, and nameless. They are the service provider for their sons with disability, for their husband with disability, for her father-in-law with disability, for her uncle with disability. People, the gender, not only she is second class or third class, she is the holder of all the catastrophes, silently, faceless, nameless, and voiceless. She is suffering from all these disability because she is servicing, she is providing service. No government, no legislation. This is gender. You are telling gender. I'm telling gender from other side of the story. Women with disability, they are fighting for their right. They are right. But there are also women without disability who are living much worse condition than women with disability. And this is very rarely underlined and acknowledged and known. And if the person with disability is enjoying his life at home, it's okay, but he doesn't enjoy his life at home. Mother is responsible. From the other side, if one father hold his son and smile in his face, oh, what a great father, what a... But the woman is living day and night, sitting, covering, changing diapers, feeding, bathing, brush toothing, everything. Nobody tells her, good job. Nobody tells her, what a good mother. Nobody. But if father put the shoes, was it, wow, look, he is. That means the gender here should be in the Arab countries, in the Eastern countries, should be underlined. I will send you, if you give me email, I'll send you the film about Mexican grandmother, how she suffers with her grandson with cerebral palsy, how she wakes him in the morning and she brushes his teeth and feeds him. And he is with cerebral palsy, is living from her third floor, how she holds him these 3 floors to put him on a wheelchair then to go to the bus station, first bus station, to have a distance about 30 kilometers, then another bus station, and in each bus she hold him, put him, and then bring the wheelchair. Grandmother. Up till 3 stations, three changes of 3 buses when she reached the school. You can see this is disability. This is a package of disabilities. This is what I say, gender. This should be underlined maybe first time. And when I'll send you this movie, it's a YouTube. You can think some portion of it.
Yeah. So you can send it on my email.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry, I took it and يعني هيدي شغلي ذوق. This is gender.
Not cigarette free. So in your household, is it a different way of functioning, or do you?
Yes, I'm sharing.
It's not too personal.
I am sharing that with my wife, and I have 2 servants for my sons.
So that's another question I had, like the socio-economic background. Obviously, you perhaps have the means to do that, but some other families.
I'm a physician, I'm an anesthesiologist and still function as an anesthesiologist. And I'm gaining money from anesthesiology, otherwise I cannot.
So if you can talk about this socio-economic difference.
Socio-economic difference. First of all, there is no subsidies for the people with disabilities in these countries or in Mediterranean countries. There is no stipend or support, household, nothing. No 1 pence. There is no governmental school for people with disability. People with disability are enrolled in special schools, in private centers, which cost a hell of money. I have one of these hell of money. I have a center. Tomorrow maybe I'll send you the bus to pick you up, to take you there. It's a palace, not because the government gave us. Some rich parents contributed to a huge palace which cost me about $7.5 million already. It's something a state of art, really.
Do you give scholarships maybe, or do you try to?
We accept usual children, needed children, free of charge. 90% of our students are free of charge. We only accept the support of the government for tuition fees, which about $6 per day. Simple session with physiotherapy costs $15. Speech therapy, $15. Psychotherapy, $15. Ergotherapy or occupational therapy, $15. These are $60 per day. You are paying it, and you are getting $6 from the government as a support stipend, and you are striving to increase it. No way. All the services are being done on the philanthropic basis in this country. And you can imagine how strong are the organization of people with disability. But they are only dealing with 10% of the problem, the demand. 90% of people with disability are outside schools, are outside hospitals, are outside centers. Since 1981, since the International Year of People with Disability by United Nations, the proclamation of the International Year of Disability of Disabled People, the United Nations came along a very long way when they did in 1982 the United Nations Program of Action, and it was supposed to change the systems, social service system all over the world over 10 years, which was named then International Decade for People with Disability from 1983 till 1992. The United Nations discovered that this will not work because the world, the people with disability, 80% are living in developing countries and only 20% are living in developed countries. The policy, social policy in developed countries, industrial countries, is vast different from that in developing countries. So they establish a kind of United Nations standard rules for equal opportunity and equality in 1993. And they started to make a kind of recommendations for all governments around the world. I was one among several experts who put this track in the United Nations, and the ESQA, which is East Economic and Social Committee of Western Asia, which is ESQA, like ESCAP in the Far East, and like African Economic and Social Development for United Nations Africa, and similar in Americas, and similar in the European continent. And we established a series of recommendations and a kind of roadmap for the governments to pick the recommendation and to establish a kind of change and modification of their legislation so that they can bring the people with disability for the utmost capacities. And 2005, of course, all the governments from 1993 and on, all the governments, all the continents start today. There was an American decade for people with disability, European decade, there is Arab decade for people with disability, which will finish in 2013. There is as a Pacific decade, which is supposed to finish this year. In this decade, that means 10 years, they ought to modify all their social policies according to the United Nations standard rules. During that period, the United Nations in 2006 issued what's his name, in 13 December 2006, issued what is called United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability, which is a kind of social political tool to be adopted by the governments of the world, through which persons with disability can enjoy the full range of their human rights in accessibility, in education, in employment, in housing, in social policies, in household, for gender, for children, for elderly persons, for people with psychosocial disabilities. And this convention, which is a treaty between the United Nations, supposed to be signed by Kofi Annan, and the other parties are the governments of the world. Starting from 2006, several countries has ratified it. Till now, it's about 89 governments from all over the world. Almost all developing countries, poor countries, ratified it, but without any resources to implement it. You can see the condition of people with disability is not the same. They gain some kind of improvement, but they are not definitely the same as it's supposed to be according to the United Nations elements. For instance, now I am now the president of the National Arab Union for People with Disability, Intellectual Disability, and I was for 15 years vice president of the International League of Organization for People with Disability, Intellectual Disability. In this, from 1993, when the United Nations Standard was issued, till 2008, I was vice president of worldwide organization. During that period, our organization, which is called Inclusion International, I'll give you the card, you should have it. I think it was written under my signature there. And you can review it in
both languages.
Inclusion International. And now I have just been in Cairo for 3 days to study the status of ratification of convention in the Arab world. I met in the League of Arab States Center in Cairo with all representatives of Arab Organization for People with Disability. We studied and we did an evaluation about the status of people with disability in this period of time, and we discovered that a lot should be done more and more in the field of human rights for people with disability. In March 25, 26, 27, I'll be in Amman. We will discuss with the Arab organizations for people with intellectual disability, over 16 delegations. We'll study the fate of implementation of the United Nations Convention Item 12, Item 19, and Item 23. The Item 12 is speaking about the legal capacities of people with disability. Legal capacity, that means to have the person with disability, to make him enjoy the full range of personal rights, of going to banks, of marrying, of decision, of taking responsibility about his own decision and likes and dislikes, and to have the full range of choices. And this is not the case in the Arab world. In the Arab world, a person with disability should go to marry. He has to have somebody to be guardian for him. It's silly. Guardian for person to marry, guardian for person to go to the bank account, garden for the person to go to court.
Is it different if it's a physical disability or
Yes,
so
yes,
people
yes.
with physical impairments?
Yes,
Need a
all of
guardian.
them, yes. Even in the bank.
For physical.
Yes, yes, yes. Legal capacity is one of the items which deletes this kind of discrimination. Persons with disability enjoy full range of personal choices, decision making. You can tell me what about person with profound level of intellectual disability? I can say no, he has to enjoy his full right in choices. You see me, you tell me how? I can tell you this is not his problem. He has to enjoy. How? This is your problem. You have discovered, you went to the moon, you do some atomic bombs, you do some. Why these people are not enjoying these rights? Otherwise, you are considering these people are not human beings. They are human beings, and they should. My status, being the president of Inclusion International MENA, which is responsible for human intellectual disability, we have a kind of system to enjoy the support of support person who is not necessarily his father or mother or sister or brother. Maybe he is a driver, maybe he is a policeman, maybe he is somebody in the street, or somebody met him somewhere else once. This guy, whenever the person with profound with autism make communication with that support person default and make a kind of mutual understanding. How? Don't tell me. I cannot tell you how. This should be decided. So that this guy who is support person, who has a good maximum communication system with that guy, and he can translate whatever wishes, choices, wills, and person with profound intellectual disability who is over 18 years of age, who is not a child anymore, his father or mother or sister or what's called legal guardians now. This is an old, there is no legal guardian after 18 years of age. After 18 years, there is support person. Father and mother and sister and don't have the right to sign on his behalf, or to marry on his behalf, or to open bank account on his behalf. The support person who should experience very transparent and very special role in communicating with this guy. And maybe his father, maybe his brother, maybe his sister, I don't know. Maybe somebody who is close, or somebody who has not any close relationship with him.
40 minutes I'm watching for you.
Okay. And this is the legal capacity, the Article 12. The Article 19, which we are about the United Nations, the International Inclusion International is trying to issue at the end of this year in Washington, D.C., a kind of world report about the fate of Article 19. What Article 19 says? Article 19 says the right of person with disability to live independently, no matter how much he has his ability. Living independent and being included in the society. What does it mean? That means you have to create a warm society for him, because he deserves it. He has the right for this warm, welcoming atmosphere, welcoming school, welcoming labor place, welcoming housing, welcome, and everywhere he is there in a space which is for him.
I want to talk about this idea of space. What kind of access do people with disabilities have?
Here in this country, lately we did have, about 5 months ago, we did have a kind of code of accessibility for new building. And there will be a chance for several years for those buildings who are not accessible to be accessible in 5, 10, 15 years. But it is now, in about 5 months, the Lebanese legislation was issued to provide people with disability physical accessibility, not so far accessibility for the blind or for sign language or for people, person with intellectual. Physical accessibility, which is removing the geographic barriers, not removing them. So Article 19 is one of the very important articles for all kinds of disability, especially for people with intellectual disability, to live independently, to marry, to have a family.
Have children?
No, I don't put this issue, but I put have a family. Having children or don't have children, this is his own choice.
Are there stigma though? So is it expected that people with disability should not have children? Is it something, or
There should not.
there should not be? But I'm saying, is in society something like they shouldn't have children because they are impaired and they will make their children impaired?
Most of people with intellectual disability are not given the chance to marry. First of all, many people with other disabilities are married, but with big challenges, with big difficulties. Most successful marriages are those with visual impairment. They have marriage. Many of them are not married to visually impaired. People with physical disability also are married, but most of those are married to people with physical disability, with motor disability. Why? Don't tell me why. I don't know why. With hearing impairment, most of them are married to hearing impairment. Deaf people are married almost with deaf.
Because they,
I don't know why.
maybe they
Because
speak
their language, yes, their language. Very rarely you can find people with intellectual disability to have married. They are stigma, and it is a kind. They want them to be sterilized, not to have the right of being enjoy social family life. This is a huge violation of human rights.
Is that the choice of the guardian then, to sterilize their?
Sure. In many European countries also, there are a lot of women are sterilized. In England, in Sweden, it's there, against the law, but it's happening. And now there is a movement which is called self-advocacy movement, about the movement of people with disability. And there is a movement of survivors from psychiatric lives or psychosocial, schizophrenic, and the phobia, and this also have their own organization. The third item which should be discussed in Amman, 24, 25, 26, no, 25, so it's item 13 of the convention, which spells or talks about the inclusive education. Also there are Dakar declarations, then Salamanca 1, then Salamanca 2. Those all declarations, one of them 1990, the other 1994, the third 2009, all of them are talking about the necessity of putting the children in the same place where they were supposed to be if they were not disabled. That means to be included. And the inclusive education is a long way to go. It's a journey. And it's not easy to dump them, and you have to have a kind of welcoming area, which is having a multiple kind of stakeholders who can play a role in the process of inclusive education.